Hello, gentle viewers. This is Indian welcoming you back to Out of the Park Baseball 21 with the Baltimore Orioles. We have an interesting player on the waiver wire. Let's get there post haste, and he sucks. He's pretty terrible. Rip. We won another World Series last season, ladies and gentlemen. It was a pretty glorious day. We said goodbye to Noah Syndergaard, and we said welcome back to Sean Murphy. What are we going to do this episode? Well, we're going to try to make sure that we have the kind of team that can last the test of time. We rediscovered our love of Geraldo Perdomo. He is a dude. He gets on base, and he plays pretty good third. More importantly, we let Luis Garcia leave, and we are graced with the presence of one Robert Moore, who is admittedly not as good, but is way cheaper. Our team chemistry is ecstatic. Everyone loves us. It has been a pretty fantastic couple of seasons. Now, what are we going to do this episode? Well, we're going to try to patch a couple of holes on the team. Namely, we have 4 really good starters and Elijah Wood. Yes, I know it says Ethan, but as you'll recall, I gave him a nickname because I couldn't be bothered to remember his name. And he's okay, right? He is okay. But I don't really like him as a 5th starter. I'm also a bit concerned by Pierre. And I'm really concerned by his giant contract and that I once again got suckered, tricked, and bamboozled into paying him way more money than he's actually worth because I thought we were that desperate for pitching. So we're going to need to fix that problem too. So we really need a 5th starter. Our bullpen is pretty solid. I have no real need to replace that. We are going to have to decide on a new first baseman, though, because I'm not bringing back Ryan Mountcastle. And I think that's really it. Maybe just some prospects. I don't know. But first, it is arbitration time. Wait, Brandon Hendricks? Why have your salary demands just vanished? What do you know that I do not know? Remember, he was wanting like $11 million not long ago. Wonder what his deal is. Joe Sprake, can I please get you to stay with my team? I find you an engaging traveling companion, and I wish to continue to have you on my team. No, that's actually not what I wanted. That is what I wanted. Nope. Meh. You know what, my dude? If you just want to play for free agency, I'm going to give you a nice raise because I like you. You're a good dude. So here's the interesting question that we have before us. Do we offer anyone a qualifying offer? Syndergaard, no. Just no. Senzel, equally no. And I know Senzel actually had a pretty good season for us. That is not lost on me. Mountcastle. here is the thing. I could easily bring Senzel back. I'm not going to because I frankly don't want him. And Noah Syndergaard is just like, please, let me stay. He was admittedly pretty okay last season. I mean, again, not a mega genius, but as fifth starters go, I've certainly seen a lot worse. Do we make it so Noah Syndergaard can never leave? But we just keep making him take pay cuts until he finally says, no, let me die. I kind of like this idea. And I'm actually going to offer Mountcastle the qualifying offer. Because here's the thing. I don't think he takes it. If he does take it, I have the most overpaid right-handed half of a platoon that the world has ever seen. Or just a really great first baseman for another year. But I don't think he's going to take it. I think he's going to think that he can get away with the $20 million. And Senzel, you can walk. I almost feel bad that we won't let Noah Syndergaard leave. Good. Clay Fisher, you will never leave the Baltimore Orioles. He's like, let me play somewhere else. Never. And we'll also have a really great minor league system that I would like to keep. Brad Sampson. Have a minor league contract extension. Leon Del Valle. Why not? Mick Abel. Weren't you like, you were a pretty decent draft pick at one point, and then you pretty much just never turned out. It happens. Let us proceed. You want me to acquire Joe Hanau. I don't. I think that was a stupid thing you've asked me to do. And I'll thank you not to say it again. Oh, Noah Syndergaard. He just keeps taking pay cuts. I can't say no to him. He's like, my velocity is 3 miles an hour. I can roll the ball to the batter, but I will keep playing for even less money. Oh, my dear. This is loyalty, my friends. This is absolute bloody loyalty. Look what he was making with me at one point. And then all of a sudden he tricked himself into thinking that in the space of 1 year, he was 1/24th of his previous value. And we've just never stopped keeping him. I love it so much. Like, let me be perfectly clear here. He's just accumulating stats at this point, hoping he can fool people into gaining entrance into the Hall of Fame, which frankly I don't think he will. But it's funny that he won't leave. I could have probably shortchanged him a bit. Now, even if he flames out, this is like, who cares? I'm going to regret this when I'm exactly $1 million worth giving Brandon Hendricks in a couple seasons. Oh, well. Do we want Ben Mitchell? I mean, I could try pursuing him, but let's be honest, he's going to probably want a pretty high cost. So I am going to go to Moscow. I'm going to tell you, look, please stop. And that's the end of that chapter. You know, you aren't worthless, Pierre. You did win your second Gold Glove, so congratulations. I'm very proud of you. I'm not, but I'm gonna say that I am. I am taking a gamble on Ryan Mountcastle. I fully acknowledge that. Oh, someone wanted to see Jack Leiter's postseason stats. It'll happen when we see him win another Cy Young. Silver Slugger for Daniel Cabrera. And that's it. But that's a pretty nice bounce back from a season that we thought was going to be a bit of a lost one. And ironically, he's only won the Silver Slugger 4 times. So, congratulations, Mr. Cabrera. I'm the best manager. I think that's obvious. I think you should just give it to me every season until you hear differently. Oh my god, stop bothering me. I can't have him. I want him, but I can't. I need to turn off team needs. Goodbye. Jack Leiter did it again. So let's look at his postseason stats. He has been pretty damn good. His 2024 postseason, not the best. I think he got hurt, if I remember right. But other than that, he's won 15 games, only lost 2. Struck out 233 batters. That's almost 10 batters a start. If this was one of his seasons, it would be one of his worst. And yet still better than 90% of the pitchers in the league. That should be a pretty good season for him now that I think about 6 WAR would actually be in line with his younger seasons. But yeah. 6 Cy Youngs. He only needs 1 more. He's not even 30. He will turn 30 before next season, but that's just incredible. I love it. Did we have anyone anywhere near the MVP race? I bet the answer to that question is no. No, because Tatis Jr. hit freaking 42 homers. Cabrera got some votes. Mountcastle got some votes. For us, that was it, though. Meh. I mean, look, he's a good shortstop who hit 40 home runs. I'm certainly not going to say he didn't deserve an MVP. I can't disagree with that. Sure, why not? Welcome back, Mr. Vanderplurg. You plurg the shit out of baseballs. Alright. We're going to sim 2 days. Oh, you idiot. You absolute dunce. I now have a ticket to a draft pick if anyone else signs him. I wasn't even going to bring you back. But we are, however, going to have to make an upgrade or 2. I could really use an inexpensive right-handed hitting first baseman. Please die filter. I need first base. And I need bats is right-handed. Evan White would be a wonderful choice, I think. He's honestly a pretty solid everyday first baseman, but that's just not what I need right now. So, Mr. White, I'm going to offer you the deal of a lifetime. And that deal is to become the right-handed half of a platoon. Just 1 year, please. And if he doesn't sign, I've got loads of other options here, so I am more than happy to simply wait him out. I just will not let Noah Syndergaard die. I feel a little bit guilty about it. I feel even more guilty about Andy Neal, though, and I'm really hoping that he starts putting things together. We really still need, as amazing as this sounds, I need even more starting pitching than I've had before. Nate Gould, I really like you. But you've only spent 1 season in AAA, and it wasn't that great a season. I will put you on the 30-man, or 40-man, though. Maldonado. All it costs me is a 40-man spot to figure out if you're any good, right? I think I'm willing to make that risk. Josh Roberts could be the right-handed half of the platoon. That is a possibility. Let's put him on the 40-man. Steve Willett. If I will it, could be a pretty good pitcher. Tim Stack, quite frankly, I can't afford to have any starter that's any good not on my 40-man. Maybe Sean Dozier. I don't think anyone's going to take him. The Finnish guy, Marty, whatever his face is. I think these are guys that just aren't going to get taken. Alright. So this all looks pretty decent in terms of the 40-man. I'm going to be very clear with you. If you do not take my 1-year deal, I will simply play with my with Josh Roberts as my other first baseman. All right, who here deserves to go to the Hall of Fame? I'm currently seeing a lot of meh players. I will always pick Bartolo Colon. Nelson Cruz, yeah, okay. I can vote for him. I know Andrew McCutchen has a pretty good war set. But I mean, he's right about average, actually. He'd be slightly below average. Let me make sure there's no one else I'd rather have more. I think Max Scherzer is a first ballot Hall of Famer here. Joey Votto, without question, to me. I will go ahead and come back and give a vote to Andrew McCutchen. I don't think IRL he's anywhere near the Hall of Fame without buying a ticket. But I think in our program, he turned out pretty solid. I'm going to throw a ballot to Chris Sale and David Price, Buster Posey, Joe Mauer, and it's his 10th year, so it's got to be Tim Hudson. Submit that ballot, yo. This might be kind of a boring episode because there's just not much that I am interested in. You will trade me an admittedly pretty solid starting pitcher for a really good young pitcher and my backup catcher. And you'll do the same. Oh, it's the other Luis Garcia. Okay. Why did I get notified about this? Is Joe Napier on one of my lists? Oh, he was. Okay. Joe Napier actually turned out to be a pretty sweet player. Ah, well. I could have taken him, and I didn't. And I guess I kind of suffered for that. Evan White looks like he knows a good deal when he sees one. And I'm going to need a supplemental first round pick. And he got a pretty big deal, so good for him. I'm not saying he didn't deserve it. I'm saying I wasn't the team to give it to him. And I like to say, oh no, fan interest has crashed. It's at 94. I think you need to understand how much goodwill I've built up with this franchise by winning this many bloody World Series. Hey man, if people want to keep paying you, go for it. Have a great career. The amount I care is 0%. That is how much I don't care. Is there any glut I have in the minors which I can use to strengthen my position at other positions? Oh, here's part of the issue. Please give me my actual scouts ratings, thank you. I don't want OSA's Drek. I would not mind their Shrek cover, because Shrek is pretty fantastic, but... Alright, that's more like I expected. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if we don't keep, what's-his-face, that Josh Roberts is going to be promoted and be, first baseman. I think he'll do okay in that role. And I want to see if Santoya, what he can do with a full season. Or heck, even a partial season. Because, yikes. Remember, you've got to be kind of mercenary. Hey, we did get Evan White. Okay. I mean, I literally didn't do anything to accommodate you. I was just like, hey, show up. And he's like, sweet. Plus, you also give me some insurance in case Santoya does struggle. I can just slot you in and have you play both first base positions. I'm honestly pretty okay with this lineup right now. I don't see a huge incentive to make any drastic changes yet. I don't know what to do about Hendricks necessarily yet. I've kind of got everything I want right now. I don't think I'm going to get involved in the Rule 5 draft. I think I'm just going to skip it. And if I lose a couple players, I lose a couple players. But I don't feel any strong reason to get involved. Just not a thing I care about. I did lose Victor Gonzalez. That's kind of an oversight. You know what? I'm going to take some blame for that one. He's a pretty decent backup catcher. Boston, you want Bobby Dwyer and you want to cut him loose? Go for it. I'm not that impressed by him anymore, though. I only have eyes for one prospect on this team. Oh, Danny Moreno. You're so good. You're so good. Right. To Hall of Fame voting. I think one of the most interesting things that we've done with this franchise is I've never gotten burned on a trade. I can't think of many trades we've ever made, maybe any trade we've ever made, where I was like, I lost that trade. I traded a player too early and I got burned. I think every single time I've made a trade, it's worked out for the best, and that's a big part of our success. Max Scherzer made it. This, I think, is unfair. I think Tim Hudson is a really good player. I'm not saying he'll make the real Hall of Fame either. I'm pretty certain that he won't. But my biggest concern with the Hall of Fame voters over the next 10 years or so is how are they going to look at starting pitchers? Because the old metrics aren't going to work anymore. You're not going to see 300 game winners. David Price is borderline Hall of Fame to me in terms of his overall ability. And he's not remotely near any of the big counting numbers that you want to see, really. I mean, would I put him as a first ballot Hall of Famer? I would not. But I also wouldn't be surprised if he made it. That's just my take on it, and you're free to have your own opinion. But yeah, I'm really concerned about how pitchers are going to be evaluated in the years to come. It's going to be interesting to see when pitchers like Justin Verlander, because I think anyone would agree that Verlander's a Hall of Famer. I don't think there's much dispute of that. When you get to the second or third level players, that's, I think, where we get some interesting problems. Looks good. Now, who's gonna be a big fat jerk about their salary soon? Okay, Mike Vanderplurg, you are an absolute goddamn maniac. I want you to accept that and understand it. If you think you are worth $12 million a year or more, let me make something perfectly clear to you, my dear friend. You can't hit left-handed pitching at all. You're fast, you're a good hitter, and you're a pretty good center fielder. And I like you a lot. But you are not that much better than Jose Vasquez. And I think you're being a little bit ridiculous. Just a little bit. A whole lot. Extremely ridiculous. You're my dude. I like you. I am not gonna pay you that much money. It's just not happening. I'm gonna trade you at some point unless I'm convinced of a reason not to. That's just how I roll. Deal with it. Up to spring training beginning. Player development. Andy Neal got worse at control. He's looking like a bit of a lemon. Alex Perez has taken a decent step forward as a relief pitcher. Would you please quit trying to make him a reliever? I'm not ready to do that yet. Okay. Yeah, I think that is actually the sound of our window closing. Is our inability to develop a top flight starting pitcher since Pierre. If I keep changing how I pronounce his name, I'm bound to be right eventually. And look, friends, it's pretty unreasonable to say that he's actually worthy of being one of the best starters on this team. Here we go, bench coach. Here we go. Cut loose. Kick off your Sunday shoes. You would give me Nick Madrigal. I'm not giving up Alex Perez, so I'm going to tell you no. And that I'm not interested in this fool. Like, I'm not saying he's not good. I'm saying that Robert Moore is as good as he is, if not close to it, and he's going to cost me a fraction of the cost. Whenever you're making decisions about players, you always, always, always must include the cost when deciding how to evaluate a player. And I think that's kind of a lost art form in a lot of adjustments. Jorge Marshall, you're pretty bad. It's like Daniel Alvarez is great. I just like Daniel Alvarez better. Yeah, getting an MVP for $40 million a year isn't better than getting an All-Star for 20. There's just not enough of a difference between the two standards. Player development. Ethan Wood got a little better, maybe. Victor Camacho got worse at shortstop but became a better player. I don't know how that works, but okay. And then just generally speaking, not much exciting happened. That's fine. When are we gonna get one of these guys who turned out to be like a megastar? You guys need to invest more in Whatcha-Jigger. Oh, thank goodness you found a bad player in Venezuela. Tim Stack is hurt. Shame for him. I don't think he's going to make the roster anyway. A herniated disc and only missing like 3 months or 2 months or so is pretty impressive, actually. That's a pretty nasty injury. Okay, there we go. Alright, friends. Let's get our roster set. I have entirely too many pitchers. I need to get rid of 4 of them. Perez, Willett, Maldonado, and Wood? Like, if I convert you to a reliever out of interest, just to keep your career going, You're actually worse. Okay. Oh, yeah, he's in the toilet now. His velocity just collapsed. This is no longer funny to me because now you're using up a rotation spot for literally anybody else. What can I get if I trade you? Only prospects, but I will take a bat. Nope, he's not going to do it. Oh well. I'm afraid, Mr. Syndergaard, you've made a mistake for your last time by refusing to go to the minors. Pay it now. It sucks. You got old, my dude. And I think Fanagers actually went up. So I wonder if it crashed so hard it actually increased. So like, oh, thank God we don't have to watch Noah Syndergaard anymore. I do feel kind of bad about him having such an ignominious end, but that's where we are. And I won't apologize for it. I'm gonna nuke this pitching staff. 5-man rotation. You know my boy Jack Leiter's number one. In the rotation and in my heart. Forever. Beyond that, Hendricks, Pierrette, and Neal. And then I don't know who the 5th starter is going to be. Because we've actually got a few more options than it looks like. Because, like, Benoist, for example, is a starter. He's not a reliever, he's a starter. I wish we had more proper relievers, actually, because I'd kind of like to send you guys to the minors and let you get used to pitching. Because right now, I don't know who my 5th starter is. Like, it might be... Alright, so we're going to go pitching ratings. I'm going to sort by stamina. Okay, is it Benoist? He's got a bunch of good pitches. But he also has very low movement. I'd almost rather him pitch in the minors, but I guess we have to wait till Chris Thomas is healthy. So maybe he's not the best choice. Then I guess we will go ahead and make Ethan Wood the 5th starter and just see how he turns out. I have very low expectations for him, but they're still higher than I would have had for Syndergaard, so... Alright. Who was the closer last season? It was Jimenez, wasn't it? Yeah. He did a good job. He can come back as the closer. I don't mind. Anyone designated a reliever, please. Thank you, friends. I've only got the one lefty, so he's got to be the specialist. Mike Reese had a phenomenal season. I'm going to try using him in the stopper role. And then secondary role, high leverage. I want him to come out when we need a big out, and it's not time to bring in the closer. We're going to experiment with him in that role. I don't know how he'll do at it, but I think he'll do pretty good. Ken Smuller, I want you to be my 7th inning setup man. Joe Sprake, you're my 8th inning setup man. And... Benoist, you're going to be my emergency starter, long reliever. And Hirschauer and De La Cruz are both going to be plain old middle relievers. And we'll see how this works out. We'll see how this combo works out. I got to get rid of a lot of hitters, so I will be doing that now. I don't need 3 catchers. Goodbye, Gonzalez. I don't need 4 first basemen. Roberts, you're going to go there. Gould, you're going to go there. I'm going to keep the 2 of you. Ricky Perez, I'm going to go ahead and waive you. Tharp can play short, right? He can play short without embarrassing himself. That's fine with me then. Did Delgado ever get a full season at AAA? He didn't. I'd like to let him do that. Play a full season at AAA. I've got too many outfielders, and again, it's going to be Carrillo who is sent down. Got it. And then the last thing we'll do is we'll set up the lineup, and then we'll end this particular episode. I know it wasn't very exciting. I know it's not... wasn't a very exciting kind of situation. How dare you, Vic Perkins? Okay, dude, you are a potentially amazing starting pitcher. I don't begrudge you being the #1 prospect. Alright. Let's set some lineups, my dudes. Let's set them all. Alright. Batting ratings. Who's the #3 hitter now? I think it's still Cabrera, but I'm growing less and less certain. He's an amazing. He's still got his amazing batting eye, so I think he's still the #3 for now. And you're going to be DHing this season. Cleanup is Rushman, Hendrick. I'm going to try Rushman as cleanup, with Hendrick hitting 5th. And Kieran Dongo playing playing left field and hitting 6th. Where is Hendrick? There he is. Leadoff has to be my dude Perdomo. Unless Moore's arguably better. He's not. But Moore's going to hit 2nd, I think. Then we have Santoya batting 7th. Vanderplug in center. And Corona Jr. hitting 9th. And we honestly have just an absolutely silly amount of depth. It's almost absurd how good we are from top to bottom. Like, there isn't a bad hitter on this team. There just isn't. Yeah, I think this is the best lineup for us right now against right-handed pitching. And go ahead and give me a depth chart game. I will let you start White every 10 games at first base. But I want Santoya to get a proper shot. Santoya's kind of got low power. Maybe swap him and Corona? Let's wait. let's wait, and then we'll make adjustments as we need to during the season. I'll go ahead and keep this lineup. But I'm going to make two big changes to it. First of all, Evan White is benched. And second, Jose Vasquez takes over for Vanderplug. And then you can go ahead and fill in the depth chart. This is fine. I am more than happy with this lineup and this mix. And can I just say how underrated Kinsmuller is? Because he can both play second and pitch. He's so useful. Like, look at that last season. He wasn't, like, the best hitter on the team, but he was pretty alright. I like that. I like that. I think the next time bomb, the next problem, the next issue in this lineup is actually going to be Cabrera. And I say this as the man was, 60% better than the average major leaguer. I totally get it. But his contract only gets... his contract's actually almost up. Interesting. Very interesting. Let's see how he does with a full season at DH. I'm really curious to see how he manages that. We don't have a big power guy anymore. Not someone that I think could hit 50 homers. I just don't think that player's on the roster anymore. And a lot of the raw power hitters that we do have are no longer on the team. Kieran Dongo is probably the best power hitter left on the Baltimore Orioles. Is he 50 homer good? He's not. We don't have an elite power hitter. Do we have one in the system? We still have Moreno. If Moreno can take a step forward this season, a big one, like what I want to see is I want to see his defense improve. And his offense, obviously. But if anything's going to keep him out of getting to the majors quickly, it's going to be his defense. So I'm going to keep a very close eye on you over the course of the season. Because let's look at our prospects. Well, who do we have that's ready to fill a spot on this team? I feel pretty good about our first base depth. I think Nate Gould could be a very good player. I think Josh Roberts could be a very good player. They're all 23. I'm not sold on Perez as a starter, but I'm also not sold on him. I really need to see him pitch a full season in AAA. We've got a lot of interesting starters, but I don't see a lot of high ceiling starters. So that's going to be an issue that we're going to have to explore going forward. Lonson is probably... Did he lose a bunch of potential? No. It looks like he ticked up and then ticked back down. Lonson is probably the closest thing to, a future starter. And he's very far away. I think he's at least 2 seasons away. Yeah, we're kind of in the situation where we continually get starting pitchers that can't hold up. And I think it wouldn't be the worst idea to start packaging first basemen if Santoya looks like he can hold down the job. If Santoya and Roberts, or Santoya and White, probably Santoya and Roberts starting next season, if they can hold down first base between them, then I have the flexibility to trade Nate Gould. Because we're hurting for pitching prospects. And a lot of my pitchers are gonna be on the wrong side of 30 in the next season or two. And without a good young generation of starters, all I've got is basically a bunch of okay to decent starters, and maybe one of them sticks and maybe one of them doesn't. Andy Neal is just, I don't know what to do about him. Like, if this is all we get, Andy Neal is a ridiculous overpay if he wants a bunch of money. And the weird thing is, I know I keep saying we're overpaying for Pierrette, but the sad truth is we really aren't. Because we don't have a starter with this level of talent. And if I let him go, and I just hope that we can find a great starter in free agency, I don't know that we can afford it. Our rotation has been a strength of this team for a very long time. I have a very uneasy feeling about what it's going to look like in the next couple of seasons. Because they basically have an ace and a bunch of number threes. And I think Brandon Hendricks has dipped a bit at the best possible time. He can no longer convince us that he is a top-notch, forever starting pitcher. And I think that's why his salary demands have become so much more reasonable. I think he's a great pitcher, and I think he has a lot of potential. But we're basically one pitcher away from the entire mess falling apart. And that's not good. And I think we need to start finding ways to add more starting pitching talent into the mid to high minors, and to keep developing the talent that we do have in the low minors. We're going to have to find a solution to this problem. Because if we look at the positional rankings, we only rank 11th in starting pitching depth. Oh, wow, you really like Hugh Lander. Why? Hugh Lander's not even a shortstop. You're saying I have the best shortstop depth. Oh, yeah. You have the best shortstop depth in the majors because of Hugh Lander, who's not a shortstop. What are you even smoking? What if I look at my player development report? No, that's not what I wanted to look at. It is front office player development, this one here. Is Hugh Lander like... Okay, Hugh Lander actually might be an amazing shortstop, but he's still a terrible hitter. You guys really think highly of Victor Salinas. He's a pretty good hitter. I don't know that I'd rate him that highly, though. Jose Ramirez is a good all-around hitter. I can respect that. You guys really like Steve Willett as a starter or Jasiel De La Cruz, and I'm not going to let either of those things happen. Catcher is fine. Third base is fine. The interesting thing is how the two best players in my system are center fielders, and then it just collapses after that. But maybe some players that need to have big years will have big years, and we can start thinking about how to use them in the best possible sense of the word. We'll see. Yeah, this is purely based on Moreno, I bet, who I got for a song. I know we've looked at this trade several times, but I can't... How? how can you decide that a mediocre starting pitcher, okay, and I look at this trade and I see, hey, he's actually developed quite nicely as a starting pitcher. I'd kind of like to have him now. If not for that, Danny Moreno was the second best prospect in baseball. So, I mean, I don't feel too bad about it. I just don't. But we do need to address the pitching problem. Because we have gotten extraordinarily lucky in the area that matters the most. Jack Leiter has been healthy. And he's put a lot of mileage on this arm. And we're probably overdue for him to miss at least a bit of time. Now, maybe he's just so amazing that he'll never ever get hurt. And if that happens, I would do a figurative backflip. But I have this sneaking suspicion he's going to get hurt eventually. And when he does, I think you'll see how quickly we go from top contender to also ran very quickly. And that's what I'm worried about. And so I'd like to have a better pipeline of starters that become starters. Because all too often we get the Mike Reeses of the world. Who Mike Reese was drafted to be a starter and then ended up being a reliever. Although I think in his defense, he never had a third pitch. So I think he was always planning to be a reliever. If I had to, could I make De La Cruz a starter? I could. I really don't want to, though. I don't see him being that valuable to us as a starter because I don't think he's good enough. Hirschauer, he's only got 2 pitches. He's not going to be a starter. Benoist is the one player on this team I think is the one pitcher on this team who might become a starter, and it really depends on his secondary pitches. If he can keep up his ground to ball rate, I think he'll be a very good one. If he can't, I think he'll have a very short career. So we'll see what happens. If some of the younger players start to establish themselves here, in particular Jose Santoya, I'll probably flip a first baseman or two to try to improve my pitching. And Vanderplug, you're on borrowed time. Your arbitration demands are just insane. And you had a very good season last year. And a pretty good season the year before. And maybe this season you'll be even better. But you're so limited that I don't feel comfortable playing you every day at center field because you can't hit lefties. It's just a thing that's true. And I don't think the rest of the package makes up for that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you'll impress me. But I'm not committing a bunch of money to a center fielder. Not when Jose Vasquez is at least 80% as good as you. And he's like, I just want to play baseball. And is in some ways actually better than you are. Because he doesn't have a pronounced platoon split. He doesn't draw very many walks, but neither does Vanderplug. He's maybe at least as good a defender. And I just want to see him play before I make a decision of any crippling magnitude. I'm very curious if Evan White is going to accept the fact that he's not in the starting lineup. Because if he becomes disruptive, he's gone. But I think we've talked enough for now. My owner is not going to be happy that I have Geraldo Perdomo and I call it an upgrade, but he's just going to accept it because I love him. He fills a role on this team. Now, let's talk briefly about the lineup before we go for today. This is where the lineup lives or dies. These two spots. I am putting an incredible amount of pressure on two specific players, neither of whom one of whom has virtually no major league track record, and another one who has a track record for doing the right thing, but maybe hasn't been given the opportunity to shine. I also don't love him as a third baseman, but that's not the question right now. But a lot is riding on these two players, especially on Moore. And I think he can handle it. I think the two of them setting the table for the rest of the lineup is going to lead to some big numbers for Cabrera, for Rutschman, for Hendrick. I think they'll all get better pitches to hit. I truly do. Because they'll all be facing... they won't be able to just pitch around everyone. I mean, Rutschman could very easily, because of Cabrera's disgusting walk rate. How often does he walk? Expanded batting stats. 15% of his plate appearances, he draws a walk. That's pretty phenomenal. But Rutschman has never been the guy. He's never been consistently the cleanup hitter for a whole season. And I'm not even convinced he will be this season. But I think he's the best all-around hitter on the team who doesn't have another clearly established role. Hendrick's special too. But he also had a bit of a setback last season. He didn't hit for as much power. And I need to see him rebound a little bit before I give him the keys to the cleanup spot. And Kieran Dongo is probably the future at the cleanup spot. He's got enough contact to make his raw power really pop. Really drive home the point that he can handle it. And let's not underestimate that he jumped from high A to triple A in one season. Without even one at bat at double A. And he still maintained positive value. That's fantastic. And if he hadn't done that, I don't think I would be pushing him as hard as I am right now. But he's going to get his chance to shine this year. And we're going to see if he can shine. But that's all for next episode. So I hope you guys have enjoyed. Again, I know I didn't make a lot of personnel moves, but hopefully I've done enough explaining so that you know why I didn't do a lot of personnel moves. And hopefully you guys are looking forward to hopefully another World Series title. I'm getting in the back of my neck. The hairs on the back of my neck are starting to warn me. Starting to say, Avi, the window is ever so slowly starting to close. I don't think it's going to close yet. But man, that window's been wide open for the past 6 seasons. And I'm ever so slightly starting to see it dip a little bit. And I think, here's my prediction. As long as Jack Leiter is healthy, we're pretty much going to get a playoff spot every year. The moment Jack Leiter is not healthy, we probably fall to about 500. Assuming that the rest of the team doesn't pick up the slack. That's my prediction. Anyway, thank you for watching. As always, it really does mean a lot to me when you guys comment and give me good feedback. Thanks again for the individual who asked for Jack Leiter's postseason stats. I enjoyed looking at them. Here they are again. That's sexy. Until next time, this has been Avindian. Thank you for watching, and I bid you good day.